Hey guys, it is Isaac or Blizzard, and we are here with a brand new video. Yesterday, I uploaded the Donald Trump versus Bernie Sanders election prediction, where Bernie Sanders won by a slight margin, but won nonetheless. Now we're here with Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I said I would upload this video today, and here we have the map. Joe Biden still hasn't announced he's running, but I just read an article this morning that multiple high-level Democrats like Sherrod Brown and Michael Bloomberg announced they're not running anymore. And that kind of clears the way for him, in my opinion, because he's kind of working class, not corporate, but more centrist, pushed into corporate. Democrats are kind of pushing out of it, while you have more progressive candidates, which I think leads to Joe Biden having a more wide lane and a much higher chance of getting the nomination in the party, which I think in turn gives him a higher chance to run for president. So let's start here. I don't know exactly how he's gonna run this campaign. If it's gonna be more of a Obama nostalgia kind of type of campaign, or is it gonna be like, let's take down Trump? Because he's known for working across the aisle. He actually campaigned for a Republican in the primaries, which is surprising in the state of Michigan. I think he was a pretty good friend of Joe Biden. So he's shown that he can work across the aisle and go across party lines to do what he thinks is right. And I think with that Obama kind of like nostalgia, people are going to like him. And I think that's probably the type of campaign he's going to run. I'm pushing more in that direction instead of being just this anti-Trump, anti-Wall Street type of candidate that you see in Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, or a criminal justice reform type of campaign where you see with Kamala Harris or Cory Booker. So let's start over here. We could just start some safe Republican states. We know Idaho, Montana, and pretty much this entire region over here. Even I'm going to keep Utah as a safe Republican. I know independents do pretty well here, but I'm still going to give it to them. In Arizona, I'm going to leave it as a swing state for now. I'm going to favor Trump, but I still think there's more stuff I want to talk about it that it could, and I still do think it's in a toss-up range, that it could be something in that type of situation that can make it possibly close, or give a possibility of Joe Biden flipping it, because with Donald Trump, you never know what he's going to say or do that can change the outcome of certain polls or results or elections. So, we know this entire this Midwest corridor is going to be good, including both of Nebraska's districts. And I'm going to keep Texas as a likely Republican. I still think that Republicans do well here, and I do think that they're going to keep doing well here for a while until 2024 or 2028. People point to, how about Beto O'Rourke? He came within 3 points. But Ted Cruz, when you look at the numbers, he was not an ultra-popular senator. And that's one election, and Beto O'Rourke still lost. And I know it's by a slim margin, but you have to look at other races as well. Greg Abbott, who was the governor of Texas, won by almost 20 points. And John Cornyn right now is a much more popular senator, and I still predict him to keep his seat regardless of who's running against him. And it's not going to be Beto O'Rourke, because he already announced that. So I think we can't just look at this Beto O'Rourke race and some changing demographics and say Texas is going to automatically flip. It's still a red state, and I think it's going to be that way for the next 1 or 2 election cycles. I think we can talk about Texas being a purple state in 2024. I think that's where we have a possibility, especially with the growing Latino population, that it might really turn and tip the scales into the Democrats' favor. But for now, I keep Texas as a likely. Again, this can change in the next couple of elections, or even the next 4 or 5 years. But for now, I'm going to keep it as a likely Republican state. Even if Donald Trump was not a ultra-popular candidate, still won it by 9 points. So that's my reasoning for leaving Texas that way. And then we know for Republicans, they're going to do good here. Louisiana, Arkansas, even Missouri. These are all going to be safe Republican areas. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Georgia, I'm going to leave as a toss-up for now. But we know what comes out with these type of states. And then we're going to leave South Carolina is going to be obviously safe Republican. Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina. North Carolina, I'm actually going to keep as a likely. When you look at the actual numbers and raw data, not only has Mitt Romney beat Obama in North Carolina, and Mitt Romney was okay. He was your average kind of your elitist Republican, and Obama was an incredibly powerful, popular president. Whether you like him or not, he has a lot of influence, a lot of support. He's had a good approval ratings for the majority of his kind of time in office, and Mitt Romney still won North Carolina by a decent margin. And not just that, But Donald Trump also won North Carolina by a decent margin against Hillary Clinton as well. And I just don't see that changing, and his approval rating is not that bad in the state. It's not perfect, and it's not exactly where he wants to be, but it's good. I think it's good enough to keep him in the likely column. And I think in the last couple of election cycles, North Carolina has become more red. So that's my reasoning for leaving it that way. Same in Virginia. I'm going to leave as a toss-up for now. Actually, no, never mind. I think I'm going to give it to Joe Biden because I was going to leave it as a toss-up because of the Ralph Northam scandal. But now that I'm reminding myself, it's a pretty good state for Joe Biden. He's like he's a Democrat, and that does very well in northeastern states, mid-Atlantic. And I think it kind of starts in that Virginia area. North Carolina, not enough for him, but I think in Virginia he's going to do okay. A little closer, but I think he'll do okay and win the state. Obviously, Kentucky is going to be good for Republicans. Indiana, West Virginia. The only way I'd ever see West Virginia being a bit close to was if it was against like a Bernie Sanders character that can kind of, candidate that's going to connect more with middle class, working class voters, especially like, your minors and stuff like that. That was Trump's base, but for now, I'm leaving that as a safe Republican. And let's look now into safe Democrat states. So we're going to obviously give them Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada. I'm going to give that to Joe Biden, honestly, just because it's voted for Democrats since Obama's first term. And the last time I voted for a Republican was George W. Bush. And I just think it's become a lot more blue, especially people are coming from blue states, moving to Nevada, especially from California. And it's made it a lot more of a blue state. The Las Vegas area represents a third of the population, and it's decently liberal. You can tell from the lax laws over there for a lot of stuff. But either way, it's become a lot more blue in the last couple of election cycles, and I don't see that changing, especially with the Joe Biden, who, after Bernie Sanders, is the second most popular politician in the country. And I think he's going to do well there. The crowd, Obama nostalgia, they liked Obama. They voted for him by a decent margin against Mitt Romney and McCain. And Trump still lost there against Hillary Clinton. So I don't see that result changing. And I forgot to do Alaska and Hawaii. That's going to be Republican. This is going to be Democrat. That's pretty standard. Let me try to get Hawaii filled out there. There you go. And then the Northeast, we know is going to be safe Democrat. New Hampshire, Vermont. New Hampshire, I'm gonna leave New Hampshire for Joe Biden again. This is a state he does pretty well in, Northeast type of guy. I do think it'll be a bit closer, but I'm gonna favor him in the state. I don't think it's gonna be necessarily a toss-up in this next election cycle, unless Donald Trump does something to some degree that really excites and enthusiasms, and gets his base excited in a place like New Hampshire, that can change results. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I forgot to put over here Illinois. That's going to be safe Democrat. Now leaves us with these states: Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Georgia, Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maine, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Now, let's start on the West Coast, just like we did with Bernie Sanders. This is a pretty similar map, except big difference here. I should have done this before. I forgot to give New Mexico the likely. Joe Biden does incredibly well with minorities, including Hispanics and mostly speaking, specifically Hispanics and African Americans. And I think it's going to become a likely. He's going to win by a margin of 8 to 12 points, somewhere over there. Donald Trump lost by 8 points to Hillary Clinton, which is not that bad. But Joe Biden does pretty well with minorities. So I think he's going to win New Mexico by a decent amount. Same with Colorado. Colorado is a bit more progressive. They like Bernie Sanders type candidates, Elizabeth Warren type candidates, but I think it's going to stay too, as Blue Roots is voted, again, Democrat since both terms of Obama, voted Democrat by a decent margin for Hillary Clinton. And it's really starting, I think, by the time we get to 2024, I think we're going to get to the point where Colorado is going to be a safe Democratic state. That's just my personal opinion. Especially as the population starts to grow with more liberal-minded people in places like Denver and Colorado Springs. So, in Arizona, I'm still going to leave for the Republicans. I think it will be closer, but I think it will vote Republican. And then going into the Southeast, I'm going to favor Donald Trump in Florida. If you watch my explanation from Bernie Sanders' video that I did a day ago, I said Donald Trump two Trump candidates, Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott, won their elections in the 2018 midterms, in which was considered a Democratic wave year. And I think that's pretty significant to show his support in Florida, and that he's still pretty popular in the state overall. And that's going to be the same thing in Georgia. Brian Kemp won. I know there's controversy with that race in terms of was there voted for, but the truth is the results are the results. He won the race. And I'm trying to fix South Carolina and North Carolina here. Here we go. But on the line, he won the race. Trump back candidate. Stacey Abrams, more of a progressive candidate, lost. So I'm going to favor Donald Trump winning the state of Georgia. And then that leaves us to a very similar result that we saw in the Bernie Sanders. A bit different. But we're going to give Joe Biden the main congressional districts. Not all of them. I think Donald Trump will get one, which will be, I believe, it's the one in the back. I'm trying to fix Donald Trump here. He gets the bottom one, which is Maine second. Maine at large, obviously, will go to Joe Biden, as well as Maine's first congressional district. So Donald Trump will get the rural inland area of the state. Then that leaves us with Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. And when you look at polling, I think Trump, in this case, will do a little bit better than Sanders in the more of the Rust Belt of the country, Midwest, kind of where you see Iowa, than Bernie Sanders. Why? Specific reason? That's Bernie Sanders' base. That's where he is going to do really well with people. That is where he's going to get those working class voters. Joe Biden does decent with working class and minorities, and that's going to be his spot in places like Nevada. That's going to be his spot in places like the Northeast, especially going Virginia and above. But I just don't know how that's going to work going into the 2020 election in the Rust Belt. So I'm going to give Donald Trump Ohio, and as it's currently constructed, I think he won by almost 9 points for Hillary Clinton, and I think it will be a little bit closer with Joe Biden, somewhere around 4 or 5 points. But I do think that he will edge out Ohio as well as edge out Iowa. And that's going to leave him at 260 to Joe Biden's 222, just like other elections that I've looked at before. A lot of it just comes down to the Rust Belt. And as it's currently constructed, I'm going to hand Joe Biden Minnesota as a likely. I'm going to hand in Pennsylvania as a close one. And I'm not only that, but I'm going to hand him over, most likely, I'm going to hand him over Wisconsin comfortably. Not comfortably, but a bit closer. Now that comes down to Michigan. Last time it really came down to Wisconsin in the Bernie Sanders election poll, kind of comparing the two. But I think it comes down to Michigan. And in this case, I'm going to get some scrutiny for it, but I'm going to give it to Donald Trump. I know his approval rate is not that good in the state, but I do think we're still a year and a half out of the election. And as you see with Trump, the more he campaigns in places, it always has a positive result. That he just campaigns and he grinds in the Rust Belt, especially not only during his midterms, he went to stump for candidates in places like Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, but he did it in the 2016 elections and it paid off. And now people ask, what is my reasoning for giving him Michigan? Right, what is my reasoning? Well, A, he won it in 2016, and I know that it was incredibly close, but I really looked at the 2018 midterms. I looked specifically at the Senate race between Debbie Stabenow and John James. Debbie Stabenow won the state. She won the race, but it was not by comfortable margins. It was not by comfortable margins. She was not in a position where she felt comfortable, where she felt she had this race in the bag by the end of it. She was expected to win by 20 plus points. She's an incumbent that's been in the seat since 2001. And other than her very first election where it was an upset, every other election cycle she's won by somewhere a margin of 17 to 20 points, comfortably. She lost to John James by, I think it was somewhere around 4.5 to 5 points. Don't quote me on it, but I know it's somewhere between 4 to 5 points that he lost by. And he covered ground, and I think this race really showed that it wasn't just enough to get him over, but I think it was enough to show that Democrats had something to worry about in the state. That maybe Trump doesn't become super popular in terms of approval, but they're still going to back Republican candidates, Trump-backed candidates, and I think ultimately back Trump in the 2020 election, unless, again, Bernie Sanders wins the nomination. It's different from the Beto O'Rourke case because Texas is already considered a Republican state that voted Republican in 2016. Michigan voted Republican for the first time in 25 years for Donald Trump, and a Trump-backed candidate almost unseated a, what is it, a 18-year incumbent in the seat, and came close to it. And I think if he runs again, he'll win. I think he just didn't have enough name recognition by the end of it. So for now, I'm going to give Trump Michigan, and I'll hand him the election over Joe Biden. Again, you guys could go and have public discourse in the comments. Talk about what other states maybe you think Trump would win Nevada, or you think he'd win, I don't know, Virginia, or you may think Biden might take all of Maine, or maybe take Florida. I don't know, but this is just what I believe the prediction would be, and the election would be constructed at this moment. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which matchups you want to see next. I might tomorrow have a Trump versus Kamala, or maybe a Democratic primary with Biden versus Bernie versus Kamala and Elizabeth Warren. I don't know. Let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.